I personally want to say it's really an honor and pleasure to be playing with you guys. I mean, seriously, we were going to do this 2 years ago, and then the pandemic hit, and we canceled. And we figured, it's going to be for a couple of weeks. Then, so we booked it for last year, and Barbara says, "Are you going to do this?" I said, I'll wait a little longer. And so this is our outing here. I literally have not been doing any. I did a thing over at SF Jazz. That was an interesting concert. Maybe I can do that here sometime, although I do love Beware the Vibes of March, but I did a thing on music of the Americas there, and it was a duo. They never really hire a full orchestra like they do here at the Bach. It's like they call and they ask you to do, can you do a solo or maybe a piano player with it? That's about it. So I thought about it. So, I don't know. Plus, then they wanted me to do a tribute. And they said, well, we'll do a tribute to like a Gary Burton or so-and-so, gee, my name's Roger Glenn. Not Gary Burton or Bobby Hutch. I know those guys, but I can give you the telephone number if you like. So I thought about it, and I did. And I'd like to do it here one day. I did with a full orchestra. I entitled it Music of the Americas, because I play a lot of music. So I did some jazz in the United States. I did some Cuban music. I did some music from Mexico. I did some music from Brazil. I did some music from Argentina, and also Bob Marley, No Woman, No, what is it? No Cry. Yeah, see, everybody knows, and so, my interpretation of that, but just to show the diversity of music that this the Americas have created, And unfortunately, I guess I have to do more of it to get it out here in the rest of the world so people will not be throwing bombs back and forth over. That is a hard, don't get me started on that. It's like, I just have to say one thing though, that I'm above that and really have to make this statement that we are really being focused on what was going on, what Putin is doing, and we should be, and what he's doing there. But how we are handling the rest of the world in regards to, all right, people are trying to get away from fires and stuff like that. But I saw a thing where people from Ukraine have an easier chance of coming into the United States to get away from that than people in Central America and in Mexico. And I wonder about, we pulled out of Afghanistan and they're saying people are starving there. And it's like, well, it's yesterday's newspaper. We have thousands of people who have drowned in the Mediterranean trying to get away from wars in northern Africa, trying to get into Europe. Even Africans who were in Ukraine had a problem trying to get out of Ukraine. And we just have to really stop this whole thing. And, they're talking about what's going on in Asia with China and Taiwan, and we look at all of this and who's benefiting from this. Unfortunately, it is, as Dwight D. Eisenhower said, the military-industrial complex. Now, I am proud that I served in the military. Leon also has served 20 years. I'm a Vietnam era vet, and I'm proud of what I did and did my service. Even though at the time I called it. You remember Secretary of Defense was Robert McNamara? Yeah, I was in McNamara's band. Hi, my name is McNamara. I'm the leader of the band. You know. So, but we all we all had to do what we had to do, and protect the country in many forms and stuff like that. But now it's like, the only savior we have that we really need to do is to get these musicians out here and talk to the world. Like there's some great music out of Russia. When you think about it, what was a big hit when I was growing up was Midnight in Moscow. Did anybody know? If I went to Russia and I played that now, the people would enjoy it. The fact that here's people here playing their music. And as artists, that's what we do. We go all over the world and play music for people to realize we're all one. I'm sorry to get political about this, but it just, I know what's going to happen when Putin finally stops and everybody's going to reflect on what's going on. And they say, well, we saw that. But what about this that was been going on for the rest of the world? Kids are still starving in Afghanistan. People are still getting beat up or killed in Central America. Brazil has got, this pandemic mentality that just not dealing with it and burning down forests and stuff like that. Enough. Let's go play some music. I got to make sure I'm on the right page. I played that number. I was looking at the second set as opposed to the first set. Okay. So anyway, what's supposed to happen now is the quartet. The quartet is supposed to play some music. So I'm going to sit around here and write out some checks. Glen Pearson on piano. Robb Fisher on bass. Michaelle Goerlitz on congas. And Leon Joyce Jr. on trap set. Boy, I can tell you, it is really, I can't tell you how much I enjoy the fact that I'm seeing a crowd and playing music again. Thank you all. So moving right along, I'd like to bring on Erik von Buchau. Buchau. Did I pronounce that correctly, Erik? When I was in school growing up, I had his name was, I'm trying to think of his first name, but he was a Buchau also.
Really?
I don't think you two were related. You know, this is back east. Maybe. So you're doing repair on the vibes. Aside from that, are you going to do, you're doing what? Moment's notice? And do I have, my wife put this down on being conservative, save the trees, back and forth, and I'm looking, that's why I played that number from the page 2 as, incoming! No, did I say something wrong? Why are all these women raising their hands at me? What, are you waving? Hi! 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 I guess so, well. That reminds me of the time when, who was it? I think it was Herbie Mann. Herbie Mann went to Brazil. You know, everybody, each culture has their own sign language. And this, you know, like, hey, you know, in America we say, hey, everything okay? Everything is fine, you know, I'm fine. And he walks off the plane and, oh, here's her man. Yeah, everything is fine. But in Brazil, this is this. And if it's really bad, they say, so, you know, it's like, oh, here he comes, yeah, oh, how's it going? You know, whoa. So did I say something wrong here? I did, huh? Well, anybody got a spare bedroom? Anyway, enough of my levity. What are you playing for them tonight, Erik?
Oh, I'm going to play Moment's Notice by Coltrane.
Yes, that's where I play the melody with you, and that's about it. And then I leave that to you guys. John was a very great saxophonist, and he played a lot of stuff. My father, I don't know if you know, my father was a musician. His name was Terry Glenn, and he worked with Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, Louis Armstrong, recorded What a Wonderful World, and did a lot of things. And growing up in New York, you play with all kinds of musicians. And my father was more, you know, like traditional jazz, you know, stuff like that, New Orleans, as well as some of the jazz numbers that we're playing. But some of the musicians who he hired for gigs, he even hired John Coltrane was on, you know, his gigs. You know, I guess, you know, John was developing his thing, you know, so it just goes to show you music transcends everything. So with that, it is time for Moment's Notice. Erik von Buchau. Take a bow, Erik. Take a bow, Erik. Yeah. Right now, we'd like to bring up Charlie Barreda. Boy, I'm going through, languages.
You pronounce it well.
You want to introduce this number and why? You'd love to do it, but I'll do it no, go ahead.
Maybe say a few words.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Gotta say something to this song. This is from an album that won the Grammy for Caljader. Was recorded in 1981. And participating in that album, La Onda Va Bien, is Roger Glen on flute. And Robb Fisher on bass. So it's not only that, because that's the music that actually got me into playing vibes. I'm playing Latin jazz. My background is drums. I was a rock drummer when I was a kid. A professional, as a 12-year-old, I was already playing in groups. So yeah, somehow I went through music school, and when I heard that album, I said, I love this music. I gotta find out who is playing this, yes. So I'm honored to be here with these two wonderful musicians. And I love the way he recorded it. Great flute playing in that album. If you haven't listened, give it a listen, because it's well recorded, and the quality of the recording is just something else too. So anyway, this is composed by Mark Levine, who played piano in that album, and with Caljader. And he passed away just a few months ago. And that's why I picked this song. Linda Chicana.
I just want to say one thing about that album. For me, it was a magical moment. Cal and I knew each other for many years. We played with Dizzy down at the Monterey Jazz Festival, and I had known Cal when he would come over to the East Coast and play at the Apollo. It was the first time. And so I knew Cal for a long while, but we never really worked together. And one time I was walking down Market Street at night, and I had my flute in my hand, and I saw that Cal was playing at this club, and I went down to, they were playing, Robb and Mark and Vince Ladiano and Pancho Sanchez, and I said hi to Cal, and I said, hey man, can I sit in on the last, said sit in on the last number of the last set. I said, okay. And I sat there, watched the show, and played on the last number. And he said, man, it sounds really good. He says, we're going in the studio tomorrow. It'd be great if you could join us. I said, yeah, okay. No, I don't think we used any music. It was like, here's the song, let's do it. And it was like magic. It was magic, everybody coming together, and we created that song, that whole album. What was it, like in 3 days? I mean, unfortunately, the next day after we finished, Cal had called me and said, hey, Roger, I'm not feeling too well. Can you fill in for me? And I said, I'd like to, but I got another gig that I'm doing. And then I found out a couple of days later that he had a heart attack from, just being the intensity of what we were doing. And so, but the album was great. And then it went out, and, it was up for a Grammy, and then it won a Grammy. And we were like, whoa, it was like just being in the moment of what can happen, it was just coming all at once. So it was, I love that album to this day. I mean, I'm a fan of it. Usually, it's, okay, we did that. I think I spent my money on some potato chips or something like that, but, you paid me, thank you, I'm gone. So anyway, this is that number, and appropriately to Mark Levine, who is a tremendous pianist and also educator, and he had a great book, his music theory that he put out there, and Mark was great. Good arranger. Mark and I had recorded on other albums before I even met him. You know, the technology was such that he went in and did his thing, then I went in and I did my thing, and I finally met him years later and said, oh, yeah, we did this album together, you know. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, nice meeting you, yeah. It's not like the Dizzy Gillespie thing. I love, you know, he says, and at this point, I'd like to introduce the members of the band.
Say your name. You say your name.
Totally different. With that, Mi Linda Chicana. Charlie Barreda. Charlie Barreda. Mi mano. Gracias, señor. Yeah. I'm glad to be an inspiration, but it makes me feel old. Old. Who said I was young? I'll get your number later, lady. Or did I say something wrong again? Huh? Oh, well, you know. It's okay. I brought my own tent. I'm former military. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean, Leon? I could rough it. I remember I was in the service and I was playing for a graduation from it was advanced jungle warfare, where you're able, they give you like a cracker and say, okay, we're gonna drop you off in the middle of the jungle and you're gonna survive off of that one cracker. And I remember I was listening to the commander and he says, remember, men, you got to practice to be miserable. With that, I'd like to bring up the four-mallet genius. Kyle Athayde. Kyle, no, you can bring. Wow, I wasn't expecting that from Terry. Is like cold-blooded, No, it's psychological warfare, It's like, hey, you play with four mallets, I can do two. And what are we doing?
So, disclaimer, before the phone call, I was already planning on using only 2 mallets for this song. And that's the truth. And so I just want to say something real quick about this song, and it's like we're doing a Cal Jader tribute now. Oh, sure, thanks.
That'll be 50 cents.
So this song and this performance is very special for me because the first album I ever owned was Cal Jader live at the Concord Jazz Festival, Good Vibes, released in 1984, which again featured Roger Glenn and Robb Fisher. The first solo I ever transcribed and learned how to play was the first solo on Wachiwata, the song we're going to play, which was Robb Fisher's solo. So I sung that solo every day, and I played it on vibes and piano and everything. And the first jazz master signature that I got was on that album. I got Robb Fisher to sign it. He was playing a gig with my dad, and we had to bring my dad a cup mute because he had forgot it at home. And so I brought my CD with me, and I was, Mr. Fisher, can you please sign it? So Mr. Fisher signed my album. And the first big performance I ever did was at the Masonic Auditorium on September 15th, 2001, a tribute to Cal Jader. And everyone, both of these guys and everyone from all the albums were there. It was an amazing experience. So this is like very special for me. I'm happy to get to play this song. That's where we met. Yeah. I was 13, or no, 12. So, no, I was 13. So, 11, 10. I was only 3 years old. No. Anyway, this is Wachiwata, also known as Soul Sauce.
I remember that concert. Did I loan you some money? Wow. Yeah, actually, that was right after, what was that, after 20?
It was 4 days later, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first concert we played after the Twin Towers got hit. And it was like, we're still dealing with these things, trying to breathe after things. So I hope this is helping, because I'd rather hear stuff like, hey, Roger, a couple of days ago you didn't pick up your $1 billion check we left you, as opposed to hearing, I gotta change everybody's shift of thoughts. But anyway, wow, I never knew that, Kyle. Man, if I'd known that, I'd break his wrist back then. Chihuahua. Wachiwara. Wachiwara. Wachiwara.
Robb Fisher solo.
Athayde. Kyle Athayde. Yeah, Kyle. You know, I just really did not know that he was involved in that concert we did 22 years ago. Wow. Man, the beat goes on. Well, now that I am on the right page for everybody, I'm gonna do the number that I was supposed to do on the first page, the first side of this double-sided thing. I know I'm not going there. I'm not going to say anything, but, you know. I need to eat. I need to sleep. And maybe a little, you know. Don't want to mess that up. That's everything. You know, food, yeah, I can go to McDonald's or that, but the other stuff, that ain't happening. So anyway, we'd like to do a number that my father recorded. Not only recorded, he wrote it. When I say wrote it, I know it. He wrote it. It's called "How Could You Do a Thing Like That to Me?" He was playing in Europe somewhere, and the gig didn't happen or something like that. And there was this, "How could you do a thing like that to me?" And then Duke heard it, and Duke Ellington was great, great composer, great musician, great band. Took that song and called it "Sultry Serenade." What do you do behind that? If you think what's happening in Ukraine. But my father was cool. I learned something from him. He said, "I'm not going to do anything until it becomes a hit." Because you see, when it becomes a hit like that, and the royalties start coming in, and Duke's saying, "I got some McDonald's money, man. I'm straight. I think I'll buy another Cadillac," But unfortunately, it didn't quite make it there. But other people have recorded this song. Frank Sinatra did it. Also, Henry Mancini recorded it, amongst other people. And, if you look up Google on YouTube, how could you do a thing like that to me? You can see so many people. I even hear people who are singing who don't sing do this song. So, unfortunately, I don't see any royalties yet from this. They've been stealing stuff. I can't. Well, anyway, this is my rendition of "How Could You Do a Thing Like That to Me," of all people. To me, what have I done? Nothing. I see nothing, I know nothing. Little bossa. Let me get the right instrument here.